stinky office? Could it be root rot? My friend called me one day laughing, told me this funny story. He was working at his desk in his office and farted. It was a stinky one. A co-worker entered his office and she started talking to him about work-related things, and he was mortified because there's no way she couldn't smell it. Finally, she starts sniffing the air and says, "What is that? Do you smell it?" And my friend was like, "Oh, yeah, I think so." And she said, "It smells like rotten plants." Then she goes over to a potted tree that's in his office and starts sniffing near it and says, "I think it has root rot. You might want to let maintenance know." And my friend was like, "Oh, okay, thanks," trying his hardest to not laugh until she left the office. For a long time now, rotten plants has been an inside joke with us. Watch out for that root rot. A corporate lawyer just bought a brand new Porsche. A corporate lawyer just bought a brand new Porsche, and he's pulling up in front of the office to show it off to his envious colleagues. However, in the rush to be first, he's not only double parked, he opened the door without looking just as a truck is driving by. Of course, truck hits the door at full speed and completely rips it off the car. The lawyer jumps out of his now ruined Porsche, jumping up and down and shouting about how he'll sue the truck driver into oblivion for destroying his prized possession and all that. The office doorman has seen it all happen and says to the lawyer, "You pompous prick. You've been so occupied with your damn car, you didn't even notice the truck also took your arm off at the same time." The lawyer stops ranting for a moment, looks to the bloody stump that used to be his left arm, and then screams, "My Rolex!" A group of married couples get together for a Christmas dinner. When the last couple arrives, the wife is immediately showing off her present from her husband. "Look at what my Harold bought me!" she exclaims as she holds up her hand with a diamond the size of a baseball on it. All the other wives gather around her, oohing and eyeing over her new ring. One of the other husbands whispers to Harold, "I thought she wanted a new car." "She did," answers Harold, "but I don't know where to buy a fake Mercedes." 3 guys die and go to heaven. The angel at the gate tells them, "Depending on the length of time and your faithfulness to your last partner, your way across the bridge to heaven will be decided." The first guy says, "I was with my wife for 5 years and cheated thrice." The angel gives him an old model pickup. The second guy says, 11 years and only once. The angel grants him a Mercedes. The last man says, 20 years and not once. We loved each other with all our hearts. The angel is duly impressed and bestows upon him a gold edition Lamborghini. The man soon passes the other 2 men. Hours later, the 2 men catch up to him at a diner. He's sitting alone at a table, sobbing and muttering to himself. One of the men approaches him and says, "I know we are dead, but it could be much worse. Don't be upset." The guy looks up and says, "Don't be upset. 30 minutes ago, I passed my wife and she was riding a skateboard." A woman brought a very limp duck into a veterinary surgeon. The vet pulled out his stethoscope and listened to the duck's chest. The vet shook his head sadly and said, "I'm so sorry. Your pet has passed away." The distressed owner wailed, "Are you sure?" "Yes, I'm sure. The duck is dead," he replied. She protested, "You haven't done any testing on him. He might just be in a coma or something." The vet rolled his eyes, turned around, and left the room. He returned a few moments later with a black Labrador retriever. As the duck's owner looked on in amazement, the dog stood on his hind legs, put his front paws on the examination table, and sniffed the duck from top to bottom. He then looked at the vet with sad eyes and shook his head. The vet patted the dog and took it out and returned a few moments later with a beautiful cat. The cat jumped up on the table and also sniffed the bird from its beak to its tail and back again. The cat sat back on its haunches, shook its head, meowed softly, jumped down, and strolled out of the room. The vet looked at the woman and said, "I'm sorry, but as I said, this is most definitely 100% certifiably a dead duck." Then the vet turned to his computer terminal, hit a few keys, and produced a bill, which he handed to the woman. The duck's owner, still in shock, took the bill. $150, she cried. $150 just to tell me my duck is dead? The vet shrugged. "I'm sorry. If you'd taken my word for it, the bill would have been $20. But what with the lab report and the CAT scan, it all adds up. There was a magician on a cruise ship. The magician repeatedly performed the same tricks because the audience changed every week. The only issue was that after watching the shows every week, the captain's parrot started to pick up on how the magician performed each trick. When he realized, he began yelling, "Look, it's not the same hat," in the middle of the performance. Or just, "Look, he's hiding the flowers under the table." Or just, "Hey, why are all the cards the ace of spades?" The magician was enraged but powerless to intervene. It was the captain's parrot after all. Sadly, the ship sank during a stormy night in the Pacific. As luck would have it, the magician ended up floating in the middle of the sea on a piece of wood, utilizing the parrot. They did not say anything as they hatefully stared at one another. This continued for a full day. After that, 2 days. After that, 3 days. At last, on the 4th day, the parrot lost all self-control and declared, "All right, I give up. Where's the ship fucking?" Saving the ship. Christy, a gorgeous, just-graduated high school senior, had saved money for one of her bucket list items to take a cruise all by herself to prove her newfound independence. She boarded the cruise ship and walked around to find what there was to do. Aboard the ship, she kept a diary. Monday. I felt singularly honored this evening. The captain invited me to dine at his table. Tuesday. I spent the entire morning on the bridge with the captain. Wednesday. The captain made suggestions to me unbecoming an officer and a gentleman. Thursday. Tonight, the captain threatened to sink the ship if I don't give in to his indecent proposals. Friday. This afternoon, I saved 3,125 lives. A young deckhand sees a pirate ship approaching from the port side. He rushes to the captain and tells him. The captain says, "I need you to go to my cabin and get my red shirt." The deckhand is a bit confused. He asks, "Your red shirt, sir?" The captain replies, "Yes. If I get hit by enemy gunfire, I do not want my men to see me bleeding and give up the fight." The deckhand rushes to the captain's cabin and gets his red shirt. The whole time he is thinking how brave his captain is, since he's worried about the men giving up the fight if he gets hit by enemy gunfire, and not even concerned about his own life. On his way back, the deckhand notices another pirate ship approaching from the starboard side. When he gets to the captain, he gives him the red shirt and says, "Sir, I regret to inform you, there is another pirate ship approaching from our starboard side." The captain says, "I need you to go to my cabin and get my brown pants." Cotton Eye Joe. About 10 years ago, I was about to propose to my then-girlfriend when, suddenly, my roommate Joseph barged into the room. As I was down on bended knee, he ran into the room, tripped over my leg, and fell straight into the glass coffee table, head first, and my romantic gesture was stopped in its tracks. Because of the fall, Joseph had a shard of glass in his eye, and we had to take him to the hospital. Afterwards, he would walk around with one of those cotton pads over his eye, and after a couple of months, he disappeared, along with my girlfriend. I tried to track them down. However, I never did find them. Still to this day, I think to myself, if it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd have been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Thanks, Dad. A mother is desperate for her son to find a bride. Obediently, he goes on many dates and meets all sorts of women, but when he brings them home to meet his mother, she finds reason to disapprove of each and every one. In frustration, the son, still eager to fulfill his mother's wishes, embarks on new strategy he believes will do the trick. So, the woman he sought next was going to look like his mother, sound like his mother, cook like his mother, etc. The grand moment arrives and the son unveils who he believes is the woman his mother will finally accept. Know what happened? His father didn't like her.